Hello there. Not who you were expecting. My name's Ryan Selvy. We had a quick switch up on some of the uh, scheduling, so I am here to entertain you for the next hour. We're going to have some really good fun times in After Effects still. Don't worry, we will eventually have the original programming set back up at a point for you so that you can learn all about your storage tips, and it's going to be a really good time. But as for today, this little surprise stream is going to be focused on a like a video game dialogue option. I don't know how many new viewers we have today. Sorry if it's you were here specifically for Jonathan. You will hear from him soon enough. But from the people that do know me, they probably know that I am really interested in creating a video game, and that's something that I have been researching. I've been learning about. Book. It is the Art of Game Design. I'm really excited about it. I have this thing called Asteroid Fields that I'm really excited about, where there are these little aliens. It's a cozy game, and you kind of work within this alien village. So what would be cool today is to take one of my characters and make a fake little dialogue option, because there's a few different things that we could look at that we'll learn a little bit about After Effects and how it works, and how to bring life into characters. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to hop right on into After Effects for you guys. But a warm hello to everyone that's over in the chat, both on Behance and on YouTube. Thank you for being here. A big hello to Oliver and Adara, Katarina, Paloma, Robert, Clever. You guys all know how it goes. So it's great to see you. And then also over on YouTube, hello as well to all of our friends. Thank you for being here. We're going to be live for the next hour still, which, like I said, it's going to be a little bit of a different vibe, but we're going to be here. So the first thing that we need to do, though, is I need to find the thing, the character to bring in to After Effects. So this is the character that I use a lot for my user profile. I like him as like a little like alien computer figurine guy, and I want to really animate his analog movement of his like, you know, thing that says it's like a stereogram that's moving, and then also kind of bring in the idea of a CRT scanner as well, or a CRT TV, and bring that into his face as well. But before we do any of that, we need to recreate it in a vector format so that it is easier to animate. Obviously, you can always animate things in a rasterized file as well, but I am just kind of thinking about the best way to scale this and make it easier for myself when I'm animating moving forward. So instead, we're going to just quickly hop through very short period of time in Illustrator, and then we'll go from there. So if you have any questions about the stuff that I do while I'm doing it, please by all means throw it in the chat. We are here to learn. We're here to go over new experiences. So by all means, please let me know if I do anything and you're like, wait a second, what was that? And how did he pull that off? So I just pressed A, pressing S to then pull from both sides to create his arm thing. We're going to create several different spots here. We have a lot to get through, so I will be working fast. But like I said, I'm very happy to go ahead and articulate more if there's say that it's always happy to see you, Ryan. Thanks, Adara. I appreciate you. I believe you are our moderator for today. So if you guys have any pressing Adobe Live questions, ask Adara. So I'm going to highlight both of them, hold Shift M, and then I'm going to draw a line towards both of them. Now they are the same object. I'm also going to go here and I want to create his arms here. Split it up a little bit just so that everything is easily modifiable. You'll see that I'm trying to make everything semi-symmetrical, but there's also a beauty here to the idea of asymmetry, because I do like the idea of it being hand-drawn to an extent. What's your favorite video game style that you? Obviously, I'm a huge fan of Animal Crossing because that's like totally my style. I recently started playing Forager, which is a cozy game that's pixelated. I mean, there's so many beautiful games, and not everything has to be super hyper realistic. Like sometimes it's really nice just to have a creative direction rather than just a straight up this look real life. And I think we're also seeing that in the world of animation as well, because you have your stuff like Toy Story that makes it look super real, but then we have things like Spider-Verse. We have things like what was that Villains movie where it was like the big bad wolf and stuff, and they're really doing the like smearing like you used to see in traditional animation, and bringing that back into CG, or CGI, I guess I should say, which is very so. What do you guys like to see? What do you are playing? Is anyone playing anything right now? I swear to God, if someone says Baldur's Gate, I'm gonna cry because everyone's telling me I should play Baldur's Gate, but I'm like, I have a career that I have to do. I have to be productive at work. Minecraft, yes, of course, love it. We should do an Adobe Live Minecraft server. Wouldn't that be fun? We could all just build little stuff, talk about Adobe stuff. Plucky Squire is not out yet, but that is a great one, Katarina. That one looks so cute. I'm very excited about Plucky Squire. It's been pushed off a few times, I believe. So I think that's why you think that it's probably already out when it's not. It's just, forever happening. I'm using the rounded corners tool you see. Just when you click on a object, you're able to click and drag the corners. You can either click the object and do it to all corners by just selecting the whole image with the A tool, or you can go into specific corners and then drag it so that it only applies it to one object, whereas then I want to do a different radius for another, which can be very helpful. You can always go back to your properties panel, and when you're into a selection here, you can look into these 3 dots and you can see that there's corner radiuses here. You'll see that this is linked, and if I were to mess it would mess with it, but I could always go in here in that manner. You can also always click on the little dot here and change which kind of cut it is, but we are happy with a rounded cut here. We're playing Breath of the Wild, Paloma. Ooh, yeah, Breath of the Wild's another deep one. That'll definitely take it out of you. He says more like Boulder's hate. You know what? It's more so, it's like a self-protection thing than anything else. So I'm going to duplicate this object. I'm holding down Alt and putting it aside, just because I'm going to use it as kind of like an edge that we have here. And this isn't going to be a perfect one-to-one because we are on time, but I do want to have some sort of familiarity with the character, and they will all be on different layers as well, but for the sake of this time to also hop on in After Effects. Well, and just so I'm gonna make the screen here. We're gonna make dark gray kind of vibe. Properly here. I'm gonna have this section specifically be a little different from the rest, because then we're gonna meet it, and the way that the layers are gonna line up and stuff, it's just gonna that. I want this to have a round edge down here. That. And at any point too, we can go and we can make our thing invisible to just see like the progress that we've made. I can see that I must have accidentally put, oh no, it's just accidentally put that down there. You've been playing Invisible Ink. How is Invisible Ink? What does that look like? Have I heard of Invisible? Oh, Invisible Ink, it's like a top-down one, like isometric. That's really fun. Oliver really likes open world games. I played Skyrim back in college, which I know that age. Wait a second, you were young enough to play Skyrim in college, and you know what? Yeah. No? 31. Okay. Put it out there. Let's just call it what it is. Young to some people, I'm old to others. But what will it ever be? Welcome to Ryan's therapy. Don't mention that in Mod Squad. I'm just moving shapes around right now. Like I said, if you have any questions, well, all me, let me know. Have enough. Going over similar things done, holding down M, together, back. Darker so you can see it. Also, oh guys, here's a tip for when you're illustrating and stuff. Shadows have color. Don't just go to black. Like if you want your stuff to look a little bit more authentic, add some color to your shadows. Blues and reds, you know, they can be warm, they can be cold. Just keep that in mind whenever you're working on it. Oh, when I sit up and move away from the mic, your voice starts cutting out. All right, that's because I have a compressor on here. So I'm going to actually just move this closer to my face. That way, we never lose me ever again, and you hear everything I say, and all of my drivel is all available for you. I'm going to get rid of this area here. And thank you for the call out, by the way, Oliver. I'm not shaming you. I'm saying thank you. I just want to make sure that I can make this happen for the best of your ability so that you can hear me all the time. Which you're like, wait, I totally regret this. We don't want to hear from Ryan. Ryan talks too much. He's not talking about the program enough. I'm highlighting all 4 of these, and then I'm going to go to my Align tool. I'm going to click these 3 dots to expand it, and then you have these different options. I'm going to hit horizontal distribution. It's just going to make sure that they're all equally distributed between each other. If you wanted to, for whatever reason, like bring something down, and you're like, wait, no, I want everything to be aligned to this one only, you would highlight all 4 by holding down Shift, and then you would release Shift, and then click again on the one that you want to focus on. That becomes the key object, and then when you go here, you could say something like down, and it will focus on it, or you know, it can be something where it's your focus. But we're not gonna need that for now. Oh, now is it too loud? Am I too loud now? I can also bring it down, or maybe you just had it brought up entirely, for whatever it was. But I'm gonna try to keep my vocals. Audio is something that always escapes me. I have a very hard time with audio because I'm such a visual person, and you can't see audio. I mean, as we say that now, we're literally going to be working on a piece of work that is showcasing audio in the sense of his character, but you know, that's only gets you so far, honestly, because waveforms doesn't make it the best. That's why you're good at file new. Yeah, because I can just talk. All right. We're getting pretty close to be able to hop over to After Effects. Like I said, we're not going to necessarily have all of the exact details, but we are going to get enough here. So I'm going to duplicate these little antenna dudes, push them all the way to the back. By the way, my key commands that I'm using is Control Shift and the brackets. Oh, real side part. Paloma is a podcast editor. I would love to talk to you because, not that I want to launch a podcast again or anything, but just there is so much about audio that I do not understand, and I would love to just have you, you know, really put me into place. So I'm also entering isolation mode by double clicking onto objects. That makes it so, or like quadruple clicking. You just like click it a bunch of times while you're in this tool, and everything goes gray. And like you're like, oh, I can't select everything, but it's actually really good because then you can hop around and click this path. So then you hop out of it, and then you have what you have. I like these because they kind of feel like sideburns almost, but they're like vents. Same sort of thing. We're gonna do the distribution. And then I am going to make them a compound path. And what a compound path will do will allow us to go to Object, Compound Path, Make. It makes them all kind of work together so that then when I do a path mask here, it knows to remove just from the side and keeps them all together, and they're kind of grouped as one. How are we doing on time? We got 45 minutes left. Yes, we're doing great on time. We're going to add some little switches off to the side here. The beauty of this also being a vector is we can always come back to this because it's do a little side here. And I'm going to make this darker, I guess. Brighter. Just a different color in general. Then we'll give him a little switch area. We could either hypothetically even animate these as well if we wanted to, if we have time. But we will find out in due time whether or not we will have time. I like just adding little shadows to stuff. I need to focus on my light source. That's always important to focus on. But that's also something you can do when you have more time to focus on details, you know? Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to duplicate all of this. And then we'll be able to properly have 2 of them, but then we'll be able to kind of mess with them as well, which is all right. Starting up the 2. Yes, Key says, seconding that, I would love to see a stream with a focus on audio. Yes, audio stream would be so helpful for me. Paloma, do you ever stream? I'm pressing Control G to put them all in a group because when I multiply them here, I'm going to want to be able to move just this little doodad. And yeah, what could also be helpful as we're adding shadows is to go in here and add the smallest little baby shadow here underneath the switch to give the idea of depth. I'm going to press I to select this area, and then I'm going to add a small shadow to it. But then you'll notice, like, hey, Ryan, look, this one also needs a shadow. So we're going to bring this over, just drag it to the side, pressing I, clicking that, and we're going to do the same thing here where I just kind of make it a little bit darker. You could always use your trusty handy like overlay tools and stuff and have a different like opacity for it, but since we're going to be messing in After Effects, I just would rather not. And I think that's looking pretty good. It is making it now seem a little bit weird that these guys don't have the same treatment of the shadows, so I'm going to highlight all 4 of them. We're just going to move them ever so slightly to the side, and then we're going to add the same shadow layer here that we would have, and then we're going to press the brackets to put it behind the said thing. I'm going to group them. They'll be all together. Go. These are the little vents, but they're kind of big to be vents. But like I said, we don't need to reinvent the wheel here. Let's also look. What do I have? I have a little Saturn guy, right? Yeah, Saturn. Make a little circle. Does anyone know how to make a better Saturn? Because I'll show you the process that I do here. I will go in, I'll pick a color that I like the reddish one, like this. And what I'll do is I'll copy the ellipse, and then I'll just kind of go out on a whim like this. And do it again, and then we're just going to use this shape tool, you know? To subtract it, and then we can use the intertwine tool by selecting both of these and going to object, intertwine, make, and then you just say want this to come forward. It also helps if they're different colors because otherwise you're like, what am I intertwining here? So let's make that red. Let's make this, or no, we're gonna make this like an orange or something. That. Then we have a cool little Saturn here. I like to put it on its side. Here we are. Okay. He still doesn't have wires in between, but we could definitely make that happen. Also gonna duplicate this guy, bring him down, add a shadow to him by putting him under here. And then we're going to offset it ever so slightly. And I want to have it as a clipping mask for this guy. So I copy, and unlike Photoshop, when you're doing clipping masks in Illustrator, you want the thing that is going to be the container to be on top of what you want to have included. So I'm bringing this hand to the front, and then I'm saying make a clipping mask of this situation. So then now you'll see that the container is holding the thing. It looks weird because this is still behind, and we want to bring it forward. So I'm going to select what we want and bring it forward like that. Gives the idea of a little bit more of a shadow. We can also take this opportunity to then hop back in here. We can bring it down further, you know, since that's not important. But then maybe like add a shadow to the side of the hand because we're adding shadows to the rest of stuff. And we'll see that it's still, since we're still in the clipping mask, it's going to pop in that direction. Okay. And then we'll bring this out. Cool. We might also want to add a little bit of a shadow to this guy, but we don't want it to blend too much with the other. So we're going to do the same thing. We'll copy and paste and make a clipping mask here. And then it looks like he has a little shadow there. What else have I been playing? I've also started playing Disco Elysium, which is a story-driven like murder mystery game, and it's got really, really good reviews, but it's just so vast and open world and encompassing that I don't necessarily know what to do, and I feel silly. And sometimes murder mystery games, like I would just do better if someone were to play it for me, because I'm not smart enough. I've done a murder mystery dinner party before, and I was not the murderer, and I got the murderer wrong. So if you're ever worried about stuff, I guess don't hire me to solve it for you. I'm not a reliable murder finder. But let's see. This just kind of fades away too much into the background, which is why we need to like make it a separate color, and I keep changing it, but I also don't want to change it because I don't want it to be too different than what we already have. But we might just have to. We could also always do, and I think what I did actually in the drawing is I used an outline, which we can always do, but outlines do make animating a little bit more difficult because then you have to stay conscious of what is animated and what is you know, moving and what is staying the same. Oliver says, I love to do a murder mystery as long as I'm not the murderer. Well, that's the thing of it. It's like it's all the drop of a hat, right? I mean, I guess you could always organize one if you wanted to. But then you don't really get to play it. So you either get to have the fun risk of potentially being the murderer, or you don't get to play, I guess. You know. Clipping mask. Bada bing, bada boom. Top. That's looking pretty good. Finally, we need to add some of the wires. They don't need to be anything special. Increasing this to like a gray. We're about halfway through our time, so I really need to hop out of Illustrator here in just a second. But I'm just gonna create some. You can hold the shift and then the tilde key, which is the key that's to the left of the 1, and that does this cool little curving tool that you can then add curves to any stroke. And it makes it really easy when you're trying to make like squiggles and whatnot. Fill these up, put them behind. And then I also like to have just like a dark background. The idea, I guess, is that, you know, there's so many wires that you can't really see them. Boom. Cool, cool, cool. All right. So I'm going to highlight all of these. And I want to group them together because that's an arm. And we're just actually going to copy that whole group behind. Okay. We're going to go to our layers panel because we need to divide things up a little bit. I'm going to drag the red square here. Let's say everyone say hello to my cat. Roscoe. So I have that as a square. I just click it, and then I'm going to call this left arm. Going to then go into my right arm and do the same thing, create a new layer, and right arm. We'll call this front console. We don't want any of selected. Don't want anything else selected here. No. Okay. Here. We'll call it console. And I like to make things invisible as I work through them, because then I know what I've taken care of. And we'll call it screen. Obligatory cat stream invasion. I know. I like the thing is if I lock him out of the room at the same time, he will scream, and then people will hear him screaming. Say, why is there a cat screaming on the? Don't know what to do. Okay. This, and we'll say back body. All right. So with that, we should have good lay of the land. Nothing on that layer. The left. I want to make sure properly set out here. Cool. Move that back maybe just a little. This color is going to kill me, but I can always adjust it. We can also always add strokes to it in After Effects as well. So now that we're about halfway through, let's take the moment to save and get into After Effects, because this is a motion day after all. This is not an Illustrator day. But you know what? Tomato tomato, because they both live in the same world for me. We're going to go to save as. Going to put it in here. We're not going to save to the cloud. We're going to ignore that. Put it into a folder because we like to organize our properties. We're going to call this video game dialogue. And I'm going to say vector robot as a saved AI. Save it as Illustrator 2020. And then we're going to bring it in here. Please don't laugh at me. Leave me alone. From there, we just drag and drop the thing that we just saved and bring it right into our composition. Layer size. All right, so now we have the vectorized robot. You can see that it's nice and tiny because I didn't pay attention to my my size. So it's only 244 wide. So I'm going to go to File, Edit, Scale Composition. That's what it was. File, Scripts, Scale Composition. And then you can do Scale Factor. So let's just do like a scale factor of like, what, 2? Let's make it times 6. Make it 6 times bigger. Can't like move everything. You'll see it becomes blurry. That's half because it's half, but that's also because they're not the vectors. They are just the focusing of the included included piece. So you can also turn on this click, which is for vector writer. You want to continuously rasterize it, which will then straighten up everything. The biggest thing that I want to really focus on here is the screen. We're going to go down to our area here where we imported things. I'm going to say new comp from selection. Also, we're going to make sure that we save our work right now so that if anything happens, God forbid, we will then have a automatic save backup on our system. And we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to also call this one video game dialogue. That if anybody has any questions while I'm going through this, please let me know. Laughing at what a cat did? Yeah, sure. So the thing about this actually being straight from that layer is that it's going to be as tiny as when we imported it. So instead, a better idea is I'm actually going to do create shapes from vector layer, which is going to have the new area. And then I'm going to actually just pre-compose this area, green, and it will create its own composition, we can now see that it now exists here. Now, if you remember back over in our original drawing, our guy has these little scan lines here. So I want to bring that also into the creation of the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new composition, and I'm going to create the audio waveforms in that composition. We will then use track mat on the screen itself. So composition, new composition. You can also use Control N if you want to. It can be whatever background it wants, as long as it matches the frames per second. You're good to go. It opens up this blank thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a new solid, and we're going to go to Layer, New Solid for that. I'm just going to make it black, and then we're going to go and take the Audium Spectrum effect, and we're going to apply it to our black solid, which then gives us these little cute little dots. They are by default magenta for whatever reason. I'm just going to make both the inside color and the outside color white. And as I play it, you can see that nothing is happening. Why is nothing happening? Well, I'll tell you, because it doesn't have anything to reference. You'll see the audio layer is on one black solid 1, which is what we are already on. What we want to do is we want to give it something to be able to map to the audio. So I'm going to go and get something off of online. You're not going to hear it, though, because I don't want this to be get a copyright strike. But we're just going to grab some random dubstep music. I'm going to mute it even. You don't even have to have it play. And then when we go back to the audio layer, where we'll actually rename this audio levels, we can then hop into here and say short version 2, which is what I just imported. And you'll see that there's starting to be a little bit of love here. Now, I want something a little bit louder and further into the waveform. We can always look at our actual waveforms if we want to move it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop into the frequency, and we're going to increase both the maximum height to make those bigger. We're also going to change the side options from side A and B to just side A, because I just want it to go vertically rather than both up and down. We want it to just go up. And then I want to play around with where the focus is on said frequency. So when you say the start frequency, you can really affect which parts of the frequency you want it to focus on, and then it will actually make things move around. So I like how with this situation, you can see that there is a lot of movement. You can also mess with the duration of how long they are if you want it to be a little bit smoother, which I think honestly is kind of what we're looking for. You can also do an offset because it's going to go from like right to left. Then you can kind of get some more stuff here. I like how this looks, and it'll be good. So then one last thing we're going to do is we're going to do composite on original, which makes the background invisible, which is nice. We're going to go back to our screen, and I want to take the comp one, which is actually our audio level layer, I guess we could say. And I'm going to add that area to this spot. I want to increase the size of it so that it is also visible here. And I want to say that I only want it to be visible where the screen is. So one way that we do that is you can make a mat of that area, and I'm going to go and click this area where it says a track mat. There's a pick whip, and you click, and I want to assign it to the screen outlines. I want it to be on top of it, so I'm going to put the screen outlines underneath of there, and then I'm going to turn on the layer here so that there is this kind of creation. Now, seeing it in this instance, I'm not liking the width of the layers, so we can always hop back into this area, hop back onto our audio levels, go into our effect controls, change the thickness of these guys. And you also have control of making them like analog lines if you want, or analog dots. The one thing about the analog dots is that it doesn't have the full area for it. So what I'm going to do instead is we're going to create a grid so that it feels like it's going on up and down the. So we're going to do a layer, new solid, and then we're going to go to effects, generate grid, and that'll create this fun grid. But instead of just a corner point, we are going to say width and height sliders, because what we want to do, and we'll actually be doing this later too, because I want to make kind of like a CRT vibe, is we'll just be increasing this, and we'll be using this as a means to create some invisibility to the lines that we have. So I'm going to change the height of them a little bit more. And then the last thing I'm going to do is the same similar thing that we did one layer up, but since we're still one layer down, we can still do a track mat within this own area, and you can see that it then changes it to be these lines, which is fun. So then we'll go back to screen things. I just kind of want to find the best spot here. I don't like how high it can get, just because it's going to fall into his eyes if we do. But let's say that maybe the frequency is a little too wide, and so that we don't feel like we're seeing what we need to see. And you can always just continue to mess with this until it gets to a place like it. You can also change the hue with the density if you want it to be. And yeah, it's a very forgiving tool. You can also change the angle of it if you'd like. Increase or decrease the amount of frequency bands you have, which, like, I like to have less because then it doesn't look as much of like a hill. And stop. That's closer to what I want. Okay. So with that, yeah, that totally works. The one other thing that I want to have is I want to have his eyes. So I'm going to create a new shape layer. Something like this. I'm just going to make the fill white. And I want to make this actually its own layer as well, because we're going to make two of them, and I want them to be completely signed up. This is going to create it in the same space that it is, but in reality, I'm going to go down to here to my point of interest, region of interest, and I'm just going to drag it over top here. Then go to composition, crop, comp to region of interest. Then it just makes it as big as that area. You'll see my anchor points in a weird place, so I'm going to hold Y and just kind of bring it down to the middle. But then I actually am realizing that maybe I don't want it to be perfectly in the middle, because if he blinks, I want it to come down. So we're going to go down and bring it down a little bit with the Y and dragging it down. So this boxy robot is like a music box. Yes, or like talking a little bit. It's not quite a boom box, but is a bit of a, just shows its audio form of being able to talk. I'm going to unlink these two to constrain proportions so that we can then bring it down like this. I'll see that it's kind of slow even. Like that. We might even want to have on the down keyframe here a little bit wider, but I might not want that wider until it gets there. So we're going to actually duplicate the keyframe, and I want to make sure that this stays the same between this. So maybe it's like a thing. I might also not. Yeah, that was wrong. But guys, I don't want to do that. I'm holding down Alt, and I'm selecting all of them, and you can drag it to make it a little bit more like if I select all of them and hold down Alt, and then you drag left and right, it will take the time in between them, and it will keep that consistent as it makes changes. I'm doing an ease out and ease in at the beginning and the end, just so that there is a little bit of a lenience to guy. I'm gonna copy and paste. I don't want it to be fully on loop like with an expression, because I kind of want it to be not 100% like on every 2 seconds. I just want to have some of these. Okay. Then going to take that, what we have, and I'm going to press Control D and duplicate it, and now they're side by side. Have that. It can blink. Blink can exist. Now, if we go back into here, oops, we can see that this actually needs to probably be a little bit farther over. We can also take the audio and bring that a little bit farther over just because he is a little bit right-sided. The cool thing that we can do about here is we could create a null, and with that null, we can control both eyes. So we're going to select both eyes and not go to our track map, but instead go to our parent link, and we're going to create this pick whip to the null of the eyes. You'll see the null is down there already, and that controls it from this location, but I actually don't want that. I want to have the null be a little bit more centered to where the eyes are. That's personal preference. It's however you work. And so I undid it, and now I'm going back to my parent link, and I can kind of click around. This also works with scale, position, you name it. So maybe we add a position to this null. We can also rename our null to call this like eye control. Eye control, the eye control. Also, what is everybody working on today? Anybody else working? Has anyone ever worked on a video game? Would anyone play a little video game of little aliens? Like a Stardew Valley or an Animal Crossing open world? Can I sell you on the idea? Will you buy my game? The thing is, like, game development is so expensive, and you don't really normally make money on most games. So it's like a dream where I'm like, oh, I'm going to put a lot of time into this, but then at the same time, I fully don't expect to ever make a living off of it. That's always fun. Now, I also want to have some compensation for it. So you can either go into here and you can change it from the speed graph to the value graph if I wanted to. And this is going to show us both the X and the Y axis. If you want to then change kind of what this is, you would have to also click to modify and overcompensate for the value. I think you actually have to split the dimensions to then properly be able to adjust them. Yes, that's exactly what you have to do. But you'll see that since the X position's here, I love that X position. I can make it go over and then come back, which is something that you can do either with keyframes or with curves. And to be honest, sometimes it's just easier for me to just actually make the keyframe where it kind of extends and then back, which kind of is a way to work around. But in the chat, Katarina says, I am figuring some packaging in the background. Oh, that's fun. What kind of packaging? Cool packaging? Yeah. All right. Link. And maybe we take these arms here. We're going to move their anchor points. We can maybe make them sway just a little bit, maybe with an expression. So I'm going to alt-click, and we're going to wiggle, and I'm going to say I'm going to move once a second, and every second it's going to 5 pixels, 5 values. So you'll see that then there's just a little bit of a jiggle to it. And we'll do the same thing actually for the other arm by pressing R for rotation, alt-clicking that stopwatch, and then pasting it into there. Kind of just sitting. We can also take these arms and we can parent them as well to the back body. We'll also take the front console and the screen, and we will also parent them to the back body. That'll be our control. Now, if we move this guy around, it will also move there. So with that in mind, I'm also going to do a rotation here. Same thing, wiggle. And rather than doing one, we're going to actually say 0.5, but we're going to give it like a 20 and see what that looks like. Looks a little weird. Might be a little too much, honestly. Let's actually say 10. Then he's got a little bit of life to him. Then one more thing that I want to do is I like the Jetsons little circles that then can kind of articulate that there is a movement in like staying in the Jetsons, as you. So I'm gonna actually just make a new ellipse, and I'm going to bring down the stroke. I'm going to then make a small animation with both position and scale factors by keyframing those, making it start up here somewhere. Make sure that our anchor point's in the middle here, and then I want to bring it down and bring this scale down. I will also press Shift T to bring up the opacity as well. As it is starting to get smaller, I also want it to go invisible. And then also maybe a Gaussian blur so that it also has a little bit of a that happened. So that it also has a layer to it. We're going to highlight all of them again, as always. Really bring down this, and we're going to speed it up. Feel like kind of fast. I'm going to press that area, press Alt bracket. And then I'm going to pre-compose it. Call this Jets. We're going to jump into Jets. I'm going to duplicate and offset it a little bit so that there is more than one. I'm going to add some time to this. 5. Duplicate again. So it's like. And what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to just duplicate it so that it's a constant kind of continuous vibe. Then from there, I will take the 2 areas so that it seems like it can kind of loop and bring in those. Then from here, we'll take the new situation that we have. We'll do time remapping. I want the 2 areas that I kind of had identified between these. So maybe something like here, here, real quick one. And for that, I'm going to press Control Alt and click here so that it then creates this. I have a thing called Loopy that makes it easy to do these expressions. So I'm just going to click that. But in reality, all you have to do is press Alt, click, and then say loop out. That's looking pretty good. Then I want to take the Jets and I want to bring it behind the back body because that is an area that we know we want to have attached as a parent. We're going to press Y, move that anchor point down here, take the Jets, go to our parent link, make sure it is attached to back body, and then that way, as the character moves, then we also have access to the Jets moving in their own way. Finally, we said we wanted to make this a dialog box. So now that we have an animated character, we're going to take the vectorized robot. I'm going to create a new composition. We'll do it 1920 by 1080. And then we'll take the vectorized robot. We'll put him in here, bring him down. And I'm going to make a position keyframe. Go a few seconds, make another one, take it, bring him off screen, highlight both, easy ease in. We'll go here. I'm going to make it, once again, kind of overshoot just ever so slightly. We're going to remove the easy ease from there, though. And then from here, we can then create a box that pops up that maybe says, like, would it go all the way across? I feel like it normally goes all the way across, right? So let's do like a dark blue, kind of gray like that. I like to call him data set. So we'll make this pop up around the same time. We'll click this, drag it down, highlight both. Click this, the easy in. We're gonna make it faster though. You can always go into your graphs as well too if you want more control. But I finished this darker, I guess. And I'm going to actually go into rectangle, and I'm going to increase the roundness here so that it's little dotted like that. We're going to do the same thing where we parent this to the shape layer underneath. We're going to call him data set. We're going to change this to something. Change it to anything. What's bubblegum pop? Oh, God, no, not the vibe we're going for. Let's do that's trivial. Let's only look at things that we have added from our thing. Let's do just Franklin Gothic. It's a Franklin Gothic is a classic. Heavy. I want to oops, not mean to up. Down. Side. We'll make sure that data set is parented to this shape. That way it also comes in. If we want to make this shape have more fun here, because that is what this is linked to, we could also have this position its way in as well. We want to make sure that everything, though, is underneath vectorized robots, so the vectorized robot's in front. And then maybe we have something pop in that says today. Palette down. Change this from heavy to medium. Today, and then the last thing we'll do is there's actually a preset typewriter effect that we can do that we can apply quickly. Here, you press U when you're selecting it, and it'll show you the range selector, and then we'll apply that parent off to this shape layer. That way it pops up and it asks a question. And there we go. We did it. We did it. We did it. Right in time, too. Keys was like, we barely have any time left, and we got it done. So this is how you would make a fun little, like, video game animation here. We checked out a bunch of different stuff. You could also always have fun with adding CRT scans and stuff, but that'll have to wait for another time. Once again, guys, sorry for the surprise mix-up. We will get Jonathan on here just soon enough, but thank you for bearing with me and hanging out as we made a new little character animation. Stay tuned for more Adobe Live. Once again, I'm Ryan Selvy, RyanSelvy. Hope you follow me on Instagram and on Blue Sky. I will see you all real soon. Take it easy. Bye.